How's everybody going? Happy Tuesday. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are doing well. It's a little chilly. I'm in New York, and for those who don't know, I am Samela, and this is just day 7 of me committing to show up on YouTube Live for all of February as we discuss and become aligned with Kingdom Intelligence, a 28 days of awakening. And one of the reasons why awakening matters so much to me is because we cannot continue to live life on autopilot. Living life on autopilot is essentially showing up in the most predictable ways every single day. And one of the reasons why we cannot live life on autopilot is because you were destined for greatness. You were called for a time as this. You were born in this era to do something great that serves the kingdom. And I feel like the more God shows me how I was called to be great and what I am called to, I feel like there is a large roaring for my trust fund baby siblings to also realize that they were born for something great. And so, me just turning on a camera is simply to unlock what that could be. These conversations and topics that I share over the course of February are things that I've spent time with God on all 2025, digging into, asking questions about, researching, reading the Bible about. And so these are not just like, I didn't do any like trending topics or research online to see if this is what people are looking for, more than I did set with it with God. And once I felt that I understood it, or I've overcome it, or directly or indirectly have knowledge about it, is why I wanted to share it. And so today's topic, we are speaking about the unseen baggage, the spirit of poverty, and how to heal it without shame. And just to be clear, the spirit of poverty is not money, just purely financial. Today, we're talking about the spirit of poverty from a trauma informed survival patterns that live in our nervous system and shape our decisions rent free. Hello, everyone. We're talking about the unseen baggage, the spirit of poverty, and how it shows up and what we need to do about it. I am well, thank you. How are you all? Thanks for joining. You are tuning in to a commitment that I made to myself and to you all to go live Monday through Friday on YouTube for what I'm calling a CTA, call to alignment. And essentially, we are wanting to get off autopilot. We have so much to offer. It's anybody's game. We're staring at a wealth transfer, and I believe that if I can help anybody, or share my story as we talk, share my story as we talk about unlocking kingdom intelligence, I'm happy to do it. So we're jumping into how to spot. What we're going to do is talk about language, about having spiritual poverty live rent free in our mind, how to spot it without condemning ourselves, and more importantly, naming it so that we can take action steps to unlock this thing, because it's time for us to do great things. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. So, again, unseen baggage is usually trauma informed survival patterns that live in our nervous system rent free and that shapes all of our decisions. And I'm not talking about something that I didn't realize in myself first, right? This is something that I'm like, oh wow, you show up like this, you still live in lack. And so let's dig into it. This is to speak from experience, not to necessarily shame, because I'm not, I don't do shame. Shame removed a chokehold from me a little bit ago, and I don't plan to shame anyone else more than to shine a light on it, because oftentimes we cannot confront something, improve something that we aren't aware is happening, right? And so poverty isn't about character at all. It's about conditions, conditionings, conditions, right? And these are things that live rent free. Like I said, the spirit of poverty is a set of trauma informed patterns that must be compassionately addressed before we can unlock our kingdom inheritance, our abundance, and even like sustain this lifestyle of greatness. Because I keep telling people I'm going to be on somebody's yacht on a Tuesday, whether it's my yacht, my friend's yacht, but I am about to get ready and live my best life. And I believe that it's important that we all get that chance to live our best life. And when we are robbed um, from greatness and robbed from things our entire lives, I'm specifically speaking about marginalized people, we oftentimes think that hoarding is holy, right? When you've been unsafe, control feels wise, right? Like when things are after you, or everywhere you go, you have to look over your shoulder. Being in controlled, predictable situations feels safe because you know which. It's like the devil you know versus the devil that you don't, right? Type of thing. And so disappointment comes from this place, and we begin to minimize our own desires and start saying, well, I don't have to do that. I could just do it this way. I don't deserve that. Why would I do that? And it starts feeling like you're protecting yourself, but it's really like a nervous system thing, right? How could I begin to feel safe if I don't even know what safety is? Because every time I turn around, somebody's on my back. You see what I mean? So the diagnosis, um, essentially, I remember during Thanksgiving, I was going to make myself a meal, and I like to eat. I don't do leftovers, right? But during Thanksgiving, I'm eating everything until the pans and the pots are empty, right? So I had dressing. I wanted to have some dressing for my leftover, but I had used all the cranberry sauce. If you're anything like me, you know, the sliced cranberry sauce, I had used all of it from that one can. And so to eat dressing, I mean, I don't do it without cranberry sauce, but I had some in my cabinet. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to eat dressing because I don't feel like chopping up that cranberry sauce. And then God was like, wait, what? You got something at your fingertips that you want, and you're telling yourself no. And I'm like, he's like, so do you understand that that is a pattern of a lack mentality and how you subject yourself? And I'm like, wait, I don't understand. So hear me out. Let me break it down how he broke it down to me. He pretty much said, when you want something, you have the ability to gift it to yourself. It's within your reach, whether it's in the cabinet or you got the money to go and get it around the corner at the store, and you tell you no. If you always tell you no, how do you expect somebody else to tell you yes? And I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, if you are constantly telling yourself no about something that's within your own power, why do you do that? Like, do you need permission? And oftentimes we need permission. Think about it. When you talk to somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this thing. I'm going to make this, I'm about to write this book, and you're telling your family, Are you telling your family, or are you secretly hopeful that somebody will speak life into it to validate it so that you can hope that you're going to get it done? So that's part of the lack mentality, because we don't believe that we can do it sometimes. We don't, we have to give ourselves permission. And I've been giving myself permission, like, yeah, you can do it. Yeah. If you want to take a nap, absolutely take a nap. If you want to do this, absolutely take a, do those things. So I know it sounds like I'm ranting, because I a little bit was, but that's how I discovered that lack mentality lives within me rent free. And so I'm like, wait, how do I identify this? What do I need to start looking at? How do I start thinking about this process? And so we have to take our mind from stewardship instead of survival. Survival is there's not enough. I don't know where my next portion's going to come from. Um, Somebody's going to take it from me, so let me eat all the food before somebody else come in the house and eat, right? Like, and then next thing you know, you're like overeating. Survival is when our parents used to make us eat all of that food on your plate. But what if I don't want all this food on my plate? Right? And we don't realize that that's a cause of obesity, because we were trained to eat all the food on our plate and don't waste food, because if we waste food, we wasting our parents' money. If we waste our parents' money, we wasting the time that they go back to work and they already don't have that much. These are like thought processes that just show up in our life, and we don't even know why we are doing these things. Sounds crazy, I know. Hoarding. Hoarding is another one. Um, I see it prevalent around me, in my family, in others' lives. And I had to ask myself, why do I believe people hoard? And I believe people are hoarders because when you have people always taking something from you, whether it's your job, the relationship, their heart, um, access, abilities, relationships, you then go and buy all this unnecessary stuff, put it in bins, and now you got a living room full of bins. But it's because they can't come in your house and take it from you. And so now you feel like there is a sense of control, because all the things that you want are right there at your fingertips. But really, you're not even wearing this stuff. You're not using this stuff. You're not even touching this stuff. Actually, you even forgot that you have it. But it gives us a sense of control, because a lot of stuff that's happening in the world is out of our control. And so these are some of the signs of why spiritual poverty lives rent free, and how we have to begin to change the way that we're thinking about it. And I'm not asking you to fix your whole life today or start addressing it on a massive scale, but if you can start pattern watching, why do I do that? Why am I telling myself no? What patterns am I doing? And I'm trying to say it's wisdom, but it's really from survival. I can't I can't afford to do that because I don't know where my next dollar is coming from. But you know you need to eat. Or you're eating old food. Old food is one of the things that I'm just like, I don't even play around with anymore. Like, if the food is old in my refrigerator, I'm not going to eat it for the sake of saying I don't want to waste food. Because I'm more important than that wasted food. And now I get sick and food poison myself for 2 days because I wanted to save $17. It's crazy. Okay, back to come back focus. I'm a focus. I'm a focus. So what I'm really saying is God doesn't expose these things and these spirits of poverty so that we can feel embarrassed or ashamed. He shows us so that we can free ourselves from it. We can ask ourselves, wait, was I doing that because I was scared I wasn't going to have access to it again? or because my parents taught me. And even if it is something that your parents taught you, they probably taught you that because of things, survival tactics that they had to learn to get by. But they probably did that because their parents taught them these survival tactics that they had to use to get by. And so before we can ask ourselves, oh, I distinctively remember, and don't quote me, but this lady, this younger lady, just say around my age, she would always cook with her mom in the kitchen, and she remembered her mom cooking, just say like Thanksgiving dinner. And every time her mom would cook, she seen her cut off the, just say, the back of the ham. And so every time she was starting to cook and build her own traditions, she would cut off the back of the ham. And then one day, somebody asked her, "Why do you cut off the back of the ham?" She was like, "I don't know. My mama always cut off the back of the ham." And then she went and asked her mama, "Why do you cut off the back of the ham?" And her mom said, "Because my pan didn't fit it." So we literally will do what we've seen done without asking questions because it's coming from our loved ones. It's coming from people that we know, love, and trust. But we don't understand they are doing it from a reason that we may not even be aware of. And so this is why conversations are important. This is why watching patterns are important. This is why asking questions. Hey, mom, why do you cut off the back of that ham? Oh, because my pan's too small. Don't go to sleep with them dirty dishes. Well, guess what? Parents back then used to say don't go to sleep with dirty dishes because they probably had rats and roaches. And so they don't want rats and roaches to be in their household, right? And so this is why you couldn't go to sleep with dirty dishes. Why you got to get up every Saturday and clean up your house, because back then they didn't have the time or they couldn't outsource housekeeping, right? So these are things that we have to challenge our choices from a place of understanding. Am I doing this because I believe that there's not enough? Am I doing this because I'm trying to survive? Or is this something that's going to help me thrive? Saving money for the fact of a rainy day is different from being cold in your house during the wintertime and not turning on the heat. Because one is punishment and one is giving yourself permission to have a rainy day. So ask yourself this question: do I put myself on punishment, trying to be wise or trying to say that I'm doing something? That is how you can understand if you are moving from a place of survival or poverty mindset compared to, am I preparing for something? Am I working towards something? Is this me being disciplined? And if you grew up making miracles out of scraps, that's a gift. First of all, just be very clear, that is a gift, to be able to make a whole lot of something out of a little bit of nothing. But you don't have to live that way. Our Father is abundant. He has everything in his resources in his hand. He's the creator of all things. And so the sooner we begin to watch patterns, challenge our choices, and start asking ourselves better questions, the sooner we can begin to identify the spirit of poverty that we allow to live rent-free in our mind, rent-free in our lifestyle, rent-free in the way that we show up. And the sooner we can start asking questions and say, I actually don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And it's not going to live rent-free in my household anymore. And I'm going to be the face of change. We talk about generational curses and breaking them from like a large standpoint of like wealth creation. But before you can even create wealth, you have to be a person who can actually sustain wealth in your spirit. You have to be a person who believes that anything is possible. You have to be able to be rich in your spirit first before you can be rich in the physical. Because if at any point having too much or believing that you can't get something is not a form of wealth. For me personally, I don't think that I can't do something, and I ask myself often, and this is what I'll leave you with. If money wasn't the issue, then what is? And anytime you're about to deal with a situation, attack something, become something, go towards something, ask yourself, if money is not the issue, then what is? And once you sit with that, you will be able to address the issue head on, because you realize it's not about the money, it's about the resourcefulness of accessing the thing in which you want to access. Um, and this is how you can identify what having a spirit of poverty looks like, feels like, shows up like, because you don't have to live that way. You just do not. You can unlock your inheritance and be a trust fund baby and pay with your lifestyle with faith and obedience if you begin to understand how you show up, why you show up, and how you choose to show up. So be great. I believe in you. And let's go live our best life. Bye.